Coming. Good morning.
Here are you, Mom.
Oh, that's the thing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye now. Now, sorry about that. It's pet food. To welcome you to our live webinar for this Wednesday morning. And it's good to welcome Sister Magdalena back. And welcome, dear Suzanne. Good to have you with us. Our first reflection this morning is from You Are the Beloved by Henry J.M. Nouwen. And the theme is make God's unconditional love visible. So how do we do that? Good morning, Brother Antonio and Brother Carl. Welcome. So I'll just repeat the theme again. Make God's unconditional love visible. And this is what Henry has to say. Whenever, contrary to the world's vindictiveness, we love our enemy, we exhibit something of the perfect love of God, whose will is to bring all human beings together as children of the divine. Whenever we forgive, instead of getting angry at one another, bless instead of cursing one another, tend one another's wounds, instead of rubbing salt into them, hearten instead of discouraging one another, give hope instead of driving one another to despair, hug instead of harassing one another, welcome instead of cold shouldering one another, thank instead of criticizing one another, and praise instead of maligning one another. In short, whenever we opt for and not against one another, we make God's unconditional love visible. We are diminishing violence and giving birth to a new community. I'll read the last paragraph, if I may. It says here, in short, whenever we opt for and not against one another, we make God's unconditional love visible. We are diminishing violence and giving birth to a new community. Now, there's a tall order for today. What are those words saying to your heart? Well, they're saying a lot to mine, but I'd like to know what they're saying to yours. What are you feeling? What are you sensing? What are you sensing in your heart with those words? Well, you are aware that if you put out a negative, a thought, a word, a deed into the universe, it comes back to bite you on the buttock. It does. If you get embroiled in tit for tat, where you only release anger from your heart, then you attract more anger. But if you put out a loving thought, you attract loving thoughts. We have a saying, excuse me, oh, that's better. We have a saying, what goes around comes around. Everything always goes full circle. They reminded me of that in nursing when we developed the salmon report from Sainsbury's many years ago, and it was an awful system of management. But they said it would do full circle. They got rid of the matrons, and now they brought them back, but not the tyrants. But coming back to this positive and negative, if you're negative, you attract negative people. If you're positive and full of joy, you attract joy. But if you're just lying there worrying incessantly about how are you going to pay this, and so-and-so next door is calling you rotten, and you allow all the troubles of the world weigh you down, you might as well stay in bed. Is the cup half empty or half full? That's why I was guided by Spirit to share as the closing prayer 3 powerful affirmations, which I say every morning, because it's so easy to get sucked into the dramas of others. I know someone, or I befriended them 15, 16 years ago, and if ever I've met anyone who thrives on drama, they do. They attract drama, big time drama. And their life is going from one crisis to another, very little joy. And sometimes when I'm busy here in the office or doing things, I get a premonition to phone them. And then I'll get the words, how did you know to ring us upstairs? and hoping that the conversation would last 10 minutes, it's always over an hour. And you come away feeling drained, not because you tried to rescue, but because you seem to be the only contact they've got where they pour out all of this, and you try to suggest blessing and releasing to God, and they don't want to know. So now I'm reluctant to phone, but if I'm pressed by the boss, I will. But I'm holding back for my own sanity. And sometimes we have to do that. We have to protect ourselves from other people's negativity. The world is a beautiful world, but a lot of the people in it are so self-obsessed. Our young people are obsessed about their looks, having their lips done, their boobs done, their eyebrows lifted up, hair transplants. Very few people today are happy within their own skin. But if you can honestly, truthfully say, or ask yourself a question, why am I miserable? Why am I unhappy? What is the root cause for my unhappiness today? If you ask the Lord, He'll tell you. But how many people want to sit and listen? Because many don't want to know. So in counseling, we call it looping. They loop from one disaster to the next. But as we read in the book, at the very end of the book, whenever we opt for and not against another, we make God's unconditional love visible. In other words, if we don't put ourselves down, and if we don't put others down, we're actually allowing God's love to reveal itself to us. Is that saying anything? We're human. Many of us get out of bed the wrong side in the morning. Things go pear-shaped. Nothing goes right. We've had a power cut or a burst pipe in the kitchen. Everywhere is flooded and you go, yidey, yidey, Masseltoff. But step back. Take a deep breath and bless the situation. You're not going to get anywhere fast by allowing the problem create a volcano. Bless it and ask God for help. I didn't do that for years, but now I do. Our security lights fused the other night, so we couldn't see where the dogs were in the gardens. So I went and got new bulbs. And on my way back from the haberdashery, something said to me, check the fuse box. I did. And it was the fuse. And all is well. Because I blessed it. And I gave it to God and I said, but I was thinking at the time, oh my God. But then I came out of that negative mindset. And then I thought, well, I can always get new bulbs. And in the end, I didn't need the light bulbs. It was the fuse. And often we allow things get out of hand. The world we live in, they're searching for something that God has given to us. Inner peace, joy, hope. But so many light workers, even in monasteries and convents, where they allowed the minutiae, the daily mundane struggles to overwhelm them, instead of turning it round and blessing it. There's an old saying in Cumbria, worry never climbed a hill, worry never paid a bill, worry makes you ill. So let us read to you again those 3 affirmations, and you may want to say them privately, quietly to yourself. Well, here goes. I am successful, and I am abundantly happy and blessed as a child of God. I attract success and abundance into my life because that is who I am as a child of God. I want to feel good. I intend to feel good. And I intend to return to my source. And I refuse to allow any other thoughts of disease or disorder into my life, because I am a child of God. That was reflection number 1. And now reflection number 2 is, where are we? There's no substitute is the theme, and the author guides us to the book of James, chapter 4, verse 8. Draw near to God, and he'll draw near to you. Wow. Author Reimer Schulz writes, no man can become much like God, accomplish much for God, be intimate with God, be used much of God, unless he has learned to be much alone with God. Profound, simple, and true. And what a classroom you'd find yourself in, he said. You won't become a carbon copy of other Christians, or Hindus, or Sikhs, or Jews, or Muslims, because there'll be no one in the class but you and your God. It's getting better. In church, you can say, this isn't for me. Perhaps it's for someone else. Here, time is designed to meet your particular needs, to equip you in your unique calling, to fine-tune you, to draw the foolishness out of you and mold you into his likeness. I like that. He may start with a chisel, but eventually he will only need sandpaper. Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice and follow me. John 10, verse 27. He'll not only teach you to hear his voice, he'll show you what's hindering you from hearing it. He'll teach you as quickly as you surrender to him, yet slowly enough so you do not miss a lesson. Otherwise, it's the hammer and chisel. He'll teach you what it means to be yoked together with him and to walk at his pace and in his time. Of course, the devil will fight you every step of the way. He'll give you rational and religious excuses to delay, but you don't have to act on them. Resist him. He's a liar and a deceiver. And we know that only too well. Trust me. There's a price to be paid for neglecting God. Some have lost children and grandchildren to the world, endured hardships, disappointments, financial crises, and marital breakups. Some of our lives revolve around getting ahead instead of getting around God. Repent and start doing the right thing now, and you'll never regret it. So what's that saying? What you put out, you draw back. Well, let's come to our heart, because there's a lot of food for thought there. And it's always good to switch off the mind and retreat from the hustle and bustle of everyday living and come home to your heart and listen to the beloved speak. But what is he saying to your heart and mine? Well, let's ask him. Lord, you have chosen wise words and given practical examples of how we can turn our life around, turn a negative into a positive, and how we can make time to listen to you. And by listening to you, you empower us to live a fun-filled, fruitful life. But we know if we neglect you, we often have to face the consequences, which is a miserable life where there's despair, worry, fear, anxiety, where the father of lies, the deceiver, leads us away from our God center. And we end up like the prodigal son in our own mess, but too proud to come back and say, Lord, I've messed up and I'm sorry. It takes courage, Lord, to say sorry. It takes courage, doesn't it, Lord, to eat humble pie and to bang your chest with the old Latin verbs, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, through my fault. But Lord, in our meditation in prayer this morning, Spirit led us to the tree of life, where we've seen you hanging on a cross, but something miraculous happened for us in that you took your right hand from the cross, blood-stained, and you held it out for our hand, to take hold of your hand. And when we did, we couldn't move from you. It was like a vice had wrapped itself around the two hands, and we couldn't run away. Lord, give us the strength to stop trying to copy other people's lives. You are a good shepherd. And when we fall into a ditch of our own making, and we're overwhelmed by our struggles and our anxieties and our despair, you get down on your knees and you lift us up. How blessed are we to have found one like you, who has walked this earth, who has struggled as we do, and yet is there 24/7. Lord, give each one of us here the courage to allow those words shared resonate within the heart, that life without you is not living. It's a prison sentence, not to have your joy and your love and your laughter and your inner peace, knowing that having surrendered our heart to you, we are protected, we are safeguarded, and that nothing will destroy us unless we choose to come out of our comfort zone. Lord, I ask you to bless all gathered here, to give us the gift of being able to discern your voice from the voice of our ego and the voice of the deceiver. Your voice is soft and gentle, whereas the voice of ego and the deceiver is harsh. It's condemning. It's judgmental. It's unloving and unforgiving. Give us the courage to say sorry, Lord, for messing up and not listening. Give us the strength to say, yes, Lord, here I am, in my brokenness, in my woundedness, in my vulnerability. I offer them to you as your availability to touch lives. But show me, Lord, how may I be of service to you today? How may I be of service to you who have done so much for each one of us here? Just take a deep breath and breathe in that love, that strength that comes only from the moment you make a conscious decision to say, yes, Lord, I surrender. I surrender to your love, to your protection, to your strength, to your joy. For the joy of the Lord is our strength, and nothing and no one can take that from us unless we give our power away. Thank you for being here with me this morning. And I pray that the words shared will have touched you in some way. But for now, I truly wish you a good day. And I pray the affirmations I've shared with you, if you would like a copy of them, email me and I would be delighted. I put them on the Facebook page. You're welcome to copy them and say them as many times as you like. And the more you say them, you're leaving a cookie in your memory, like your computer. If you go and visit another site, say you're shopping online, it will remember your order. If you're releasing the affirmations, they leave a powerful spiritual cookie. And each time you say them, they release powerful energy to enable you reprogram a negative mindset into a positive for God. God bless. And thank you for being here. And it was good that Catherine was able to get on for the live webinar, because she struggled on YouTube earlier for morning prayer, but I think we've resolved it through prayer. Please keep me in your prayer. But more importantly, keep Christ's vision in your prayer. Because the entailed community is not my community. I'm just one of the workers in service to love. The entailed community is Christ's vision with St Francis, where they've created the fourth order of Franciscans, welcoming children of God from all faiths to come into the cathedral of God and sing the praises of God. And the place where the Lord led me to last year is still empty. It's not empty, but it's still there. And I keep saying, Lord, at 70, do you think I should just give it a rain check? No. So now I'm manifesting under divine guidance for a spiritually like-minded soul who would like to do some good with their investment, and that Spirit will guide them to buy the property and tithe it to the community or on a peppercorn rent. I've doused it with my little cross, and the answer from Jesus was, you did right, my brother. So please keep it in your prayer. Keep the Frank Clara Abbey for here in your prayer, because the world needs such an abbey where we can repair some of the hurt and the woundedness created from within the Abrahamic faith of Jew, Muslim, and Christian, and where we can come together in love and embrace the one God who has many names, and allow that God boogie-woogie with us in prayer and heal the hurts. And by healing the hurts, we're healing our sacred earth and doing something magnanimous for God. Thank you. Bless you. And remember, I do love you. It's unconditional. Oh, there's lots of little hearts flying up my screen. Thank you. It's not Valentine's Day today, is it? Oh no, it's tomorrow. I thought it was Valentine's Day. Anyway, enough. I'm off to clean me hens. God bless. God bless you. And God bless you, Catherine. You finally made it. And to Violet, good morning. And thank you both for being here. Bless you.